Okay, so no hate, no shade to this person, but I keep seeing things like this and I need to address it. Yes, not everyone has the resources or the space or whatever to have like months and months worth of stuff. Of course not. But I never said that everybody should do all the same thing because that doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't say that. Like I said pretty clearly, I thought the whole idea about this is that everyone's doing what they can so that when something happens, we know what we can bring to the table. Now, if you are unable to, because of whatever reason, right, your neighbors, your friends, people who you know will have, and you'll be better off because they'll be able to share that with you. The first thing a lot of people do when someone recommends something like, say, if you can get in shape and you are physically able to do so, you should, because things are going to be rough and there's going to be motherfuckers who are trying to fight you. A lot of people will be like, well, everybody can't do that. But no one ever said that everyone has to do that, right? We are letting the people who can do a certain thing do it so that they can protect and help those who can't. And everyone has something to contribute. You have know-how, you have skills, you have a lot of abilities that are in this society like not even considered as work, right? The work of women and femmes historically has always been marginalized as not work, even though like that's a lot of what makes society run in like any real sense. I am not leaving out disabled people when I say that people should prep food or water. I'm saying that if I do that and I have a friend or a neighbor or someone in community who is disabled and could not before, I can then step up at a time of trouble and help them. I cannot single-handedly create medicines myself. I do not have a lab or a centrifuge or any distillery. I don't have any of that, right? So like, how can I tell someone how to stockpile medicines? That is a problem of systems. People should have access to all that stuff anyway. And that's not whether or not we are preparing for the future. That is a different problem of systems than the one we're discussing right now. So here's an important thing that I think a lot of people haven't considered. The people who make the medicines, the people who make all of the specialty stuff that is required for like this, for disabled people, for just for people to live, right? Stuff that we can't just grow. The people that know how to do that stuff, they will still exist. And the stuff to do it with will still exist. The system doesn't actually provide anything. It just gatekeeps and decides who gets to be part of what and who gets access to what. We do everything. We have the know-how. And the people that have the know-how to do those things, a lot of them just wish they didn't have to deal with all the bureaucracy. Some of our greatest minds that would love to be creating new works and new, like, new things for us to live well, they're stuck somewhere making weapons because there are no labs for leftists. And honestly, this is one of the intersections of just being American that creeps into everything. And it's the fact that if somebody's not talking about you specifically, a lot of people feel like they're being left out or they're being shitted on. And that's just not the case. Sometimes a particular conversation just isn't about you, or it is about you in a way that you haven't thought about, and you just got your back up about it. My theory of prepping as a leftist prepper is this. In the moments immediately following whatever it is that's going to happen, things will be wild. People will be worried. People will be, desperate and concerned. And if you have a little bit of a stash, you can help be a voice of calm and also of hope for people who don't know what to do. I saw what happened after like Superstorm Sandy. And I saw how in the absence of, there was nobody out in the places that were hardest hit before FEMA got there, whatever. People just showed up, donated stuff, and then other people showed up and helped them distribute stuff. People just came together and did the thing, because that is what we do. That's really what humans do. People, they try to make it seem like when things go bad that everybody's just going to start running around with machetes and just chopping each other. And like, that's not going to happen unless you have had people, of course, radicalizing them against each other. And then, of course, that could happen. But that's not human nature. And I do believe that everyone can do something. I don't care if it's literally, saving 6 cans that you're like, I'm not going to eat these, right? That you get from a food pantry or whatever. There is something that everyone can do. And I believe it's good for us to do it. But we're not doing this alone. We're doing this with each other and for each other. So the things that doomsday style preppers are thinking of, like those are things that you won't need to prep for that long because it's going to be way above your pay grade to deal with it at all. If it's like a nuclear winter or something, like what are we going to do about that, right? But if the power goes out for an indefinite period of time and you have a bunch of people who have a little something that they can share out, then people will be okay. And that will just give us time to think about creating those alternative systems, right? You can get the solar going. You can get the gardens planted if it's going to be years and years before things are good again. Now, I will validate that there are times when people say something that they're like not considering certain populations, but this isn't one of them. We are doing this so that we can help those of us who have the least. It is never the individual or the collective. It should be the individual for the collective.